All right, and Petawaste relatives, peace to everyone out there. Welcome back to the channel. Um, we're gonna give some people a chance to get into the building, so we're gonna be a few minutes here. Um, Today we are going to talk with a new breed, Wanagi and Kudameo. We're all going to actually have a discussion about prepping and survival. I feel like it's a good topic that is definitely needed right now, and definitely can't hurt. So we're gonna go over some things, and see what each brother has to say about this particular topic, because each one of us is practicing, trying to be prepared and learning survival techniques and different things like that. So I'm going to let all the brothers that's on the panel introduce themselves if someone isn't familiar with them. So if you guys want to say what's up to the chat.
Yeah, peace everybody. It's Puri Mail. If you don't know me, I'll go ahead, Wanagi. Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you, Wanagi.
Okay. You already know who it is, Wanagi, aka Ghost. Let's get it.
Yeah, a new breed. Just stopping on to help out best I can. So, got any questions? Holla at me.
Definitely appreciated it, New. So, so the first question I got for you. So let me just give a little explanation. So a new breed is one of the people that I know that is really knowledgeable on this particular topic. He actually does prepping and survival on a daily basis. So, I know we're in a time right now where, the stores are emptying out whenever you go to, try to pick anything up, buy groceries, toilet paper, water, all that, all the essentials that you need. So I figured, we should definitely have a talk about this. So the first thing I wanted to ask you, a new breed, is what is the definition of prepping?
To be honest with you, prepping is multi-stage. It's not one singular thing as far as food, water, shelter. Those are the physical aspects. You also have to deal with mental aspects, the emotional aspects. You have to deal with many different aspects. So there's prepping on different levels, but each of them is in a unique balance. Oh yeah, I'm Petuaste Hobart. Many blessings. But yeah, prepping is done on many levels and it has to be balanced, and you can't break the balance from one to the other because they all are intricately intertwined. So that's, my version of what prepping is.
Got you. So what, before we get into like the physical aspect of it, what does it mean spiritually and mentally?
On a spiritual level of preparation, you want to be, as far as, and once again, this is just me speaking from personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have a place to have faith in and hope. That's the biggest thing. Without faith, hope, without laughter, without certain points of joy, the body it produces massive amounts of cortisol, and from cortisol it breaks down the immune system. Then you get your stress functions and different things start going out of whack in the body. You'll notice migraines, headaches. You'll notice different things, body tension, tensioning. You'll notice that you begin to have adrenal fatigue. You'll basically wear out your adrenals just by panicking all the time. So having faith, having hope, having faith in the creator, and also being mentally prepared, knowing that preparing for the best ultimately mentally, but expecting the best, but preparing for the worst. And as long as you've got all those covered from the mental and the spiritual level, I believe you'll be fine. The emotional is also attached as far as, the physical, but those are the main two.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Just wanted to say what's up to a few people out in the chat, and then we'll continue on. The original Copper Empress Holbert and Pete Waste sis, appreciate you being here. Good night, Jewel. Peace, sis. Appreciate you being here. We got Miss Liz Robinson. Peace. We also got Sean P, the Aborigine. Peace, brother. Appreciate you being here. Chickahominy Roots. Peace and honor as always. Let me make sure I ain't missing nobody. Okay, we'll go ahead and continue on. Wanagi or Kudameo, did you have anything that you wanted to add? All right, we'll keep it moving then. So as far as prepping physically, and what would you say for somebody who's just starting? What would be some things they should get into as a beginner?
One of the best things I can recommend, and it varies on how people feel, is just light walking, light exercise, light yoga, things like that, just to get you physically prepared, because the physical is also part of the mental. Being able to get up and, get about and really move, that's kind of the main thing. Being physical. I watch a lot of preppers, and they prepare themselves with food, water, and shelter, but ultimately you want to be able to know what your limitations are, especially when you're dealing with limitations of how much you can carry, how much you can lift, how much you can put in a backpack, because it doesn't matter if you prep and you have 1,000 pounds of food if you can't carry 50 on your back. So therefore you've literally,
right.
And then ultimately learning and coming up with a plan physically, whether you're going to bug in or bug out. So, ultimately, I do want to let people know that in this time, even though, things are going kind of crazy out there, the main thing is don't panic. This is more for an instructional. If you have questions, ask.
Exactly.
But ultimately, this is instructional. This is worst case scenario, which I don't believe is going to get anywhere near. So.
Agreed. Yep. So just like Anu said, this is, instructional, worst case scenario type, information. But, I kind of thought it was important to hear it from an American Indian perspective. I know that you do this on a regular basis, like, 365 days out of the year. So I know you're always doing this. So that's why I wanted to bring you on and, have a chat with you about it. Cause I know a lot of our people out there, they're not ready. I know that I wasn't completely ready either. And, I'm getting to the place where I am. So, just, knowing you and you, showing the way, definitely has helped, greatly. So, yeah. But this is just, like you said, instructional, worst case scenario. So that's why we're going over this topic today. Anu, I was going to ask you also, since we covered like the mental, spiritual, and physical prepping steps. Now, as far as food wise and different things like that, what would you recommend?
Again, that's kind of a multi-level question, but I'll answer it to the best of my abilities. As far as sustaining, rice is always a good one. Rice is more of it's a stable food, but not necessarily a full protein. So rice and beans, two wonderful things to get. Canned goods, just kind of be careful of high sodium levels. Realistically, because mentioning to people, prepping is very important, but also you have to understand prepping is no good if you're going to be long term, but you're going to end up coming out with high blood pressure and diabetes.
Right.
So not all prepping food is good, because there are a lot of foods that have Of course, high sodium, different things you'll deal with like that. But ultimately, try and do a good balance of what your sugar intake is, your sodium intake, different things like that. Also, be sure to stock up on water. I know a lot of people went out, especially up here. I mean, you go to the aisles and the top ramen is bare. But
Right.
has anyone in the chat actually flipped over a package of top ramen and saw how much sodium is in that thing?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's like 1,200 milligrams. Like
Damn.
it's insane. It's half your daily value in one package, and if you consistently eat that 3-4 times a day as a staple food, it's basically it's a quick breaking carbohydrate. You know, it provides a lot of sugars, which is the noodles will break down quickly. The noodles will do your sugars, but as far as from a nutritional standpoint, not really the best thing, but ultimately whatever gets a person through. What you're going to end up grabbing is canned fruits, canned vegetables. If you can get freeze-dried fruits, if you can get freeze-dried vegetables, stocking up on your own individual seeds is very important. I used to get my seeds from My Patriot Supply, and I'd raise my garden. Canning your foods. But also, I will tell a lot of people that is there's a mental aspect to food. And that's very, very, and people don't really explain that. There's a mental aspect. If you have foods that will help you mentally, which are, of course, what they call comfort foods. Comfort foods are very important, not just for yourself, but the people around you. The body triggers based off of survival food and their emotional attachments to certain foods. For instance, if you're a person like me, my grandmother would cook pancakes for us in the morning. So, you know, she would do pancakes. She'd dust them with a little bit of powdered sugar, things like that, or even French toast. So for me, that's become a comfort food. So what I would stock up on, and this is for emotional stability, is pancakes. You know, some people may do oatmeal. Some people may do different types of fruits and vegetables. But I can guarantee everyone in here in the chat and on the panel has some type of comfort food that takes them back or puts them in a spot where they're more or less relaxed. How about
Right.
yourself?
Absolutely. Now, as far as getting things like water, is there any particular kind of water that you need to grab?
Once again, multi-leveled. It depends on the needs of the individual. You have purified water. The only problem with purified water is it lacks minerals. So normally when I stock up on purified water, but I go get, there's a bottle that I buy from the health food store. It's called Trace Minerals. And basically it's all the minerals that would be in what you would consider spring water put in the purified water. You also have people who choose natural spring water because it has a certain amount of minerals. You have other individuals who choose to grab just pretty much whatever water they can grab. You have people who do reverse osmosis water. You have people who, there's always something you can add to your water if needed. But ultimately, my thing is purified water or spring water. Purified with added minerals if possible. And not just for taste, but, you know, trace minerals, because so many people look at vitamins and they actually think about the importance of vitamins, but not many people look at the importance of minerals and, you know, branched chain amino acids in the body. So, you know, sorry that answer was kind of long.
Oh no, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for elaborating on that. Kuda Mayo, did you have something you wanted to add?
No, just yeah, I think it's you know, a lot of the times we take for granted things and advice people give, and you know, this is nothing new. Like, you know, there's even shows about this stuff, right? But it's like we take it as entertainment usually. We don't take it seriously, and until it's kind of like almost too late is when people really start paying attention. So, you know, like I was saying, you know, I mean, we're hoping it's not going to become a major worst case scenario. Don't wait for that. You know, even if we didn't have this so-called epidemic happening, you should have already, tried to be living in this way. Be ready, be prepared in many ways, so we can not depend on, a government to give us everything. And that's kind of returning to back to the ways of the ancestors. Being natural, like not, if we grew our own food, we wouldn't have to worry about supermarkets. For example. So yeah, I think it's very important to care now, to actually care, and to be ready and prepared for whatever might come around.
Absolutely, I completely agree. So, basically the point of all this is that what me and the new and Kudameo are trying to tell everyone who isn't already doing this, always be prepared. So again, Kudameo said, don't wait till the last worst case scenario to pop up. Just you should be doing this all the time. You know, buying canned goods and putting them away. Buying cases of water, putting them away, because again, we see how things are trending, and it's always good to be prepared in case there is a worst case scenario. Then you're not like running around with like a chicken with his head cut off trying to find stuff. And if anybody's been into the grocery stores here of late, it looks like a madhouse in there. Things are cleared off. There's no meat, there's no bread, there's no toilet paper. So I mean, pretty soon, they've been canceling, schools and all kinds of different things. Eventually they may even try to cancel everybody going to work. So, if that happens, then what? Anu, did you want to speak on that?
Yeah, actually out here they've given our kids an early spring break, and they are keeping schools open for kids to get breakfast and lunch, only because they understand that for some children out in the general area, that is the only food source that they have. So they're providing people with some type of food and some type of sustenance. I tell people, if you have it, and take $5 a week or $10 a week. That's all it really costs. Get extra things that you like and keep them in rotation. A lot of people right now, I went out to the stores and people were panic buying, and I mean, it's pretty bad out there. I went out there just to go get a little bit of oatmeal. But if anybody, like I said in the chat, or anyone else remembers, back in the day, normally our grandparents, our parents, depending on your age, they normally had an abundance of canned goods. They normally had an abundance of, my grandma was always canning something. We always had vegetable gardens. We always had everything else, and just not holding a dependence and being able to stock up. But then again, I believe our ancestors and our grandparents knew those stories before we had as much television and as many distractions in the world. Our grandparents knew those old stories about the squirrel, the lazy squirrel, the bear, the different things. And that was ingrained in them as we began to watch TV and things. I believe that's kind of taken us from those old stories. So, ultimately, I don't know about you guys, but I guarantee most people's grandparents probably had more food than they needed in that house at any given time.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. So we talked about like what kind of canned goods and water and different things like that. So what other things would be a good idea to keep in supply that isn't food or water?
Rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol is something great. Peroxide, acetaminophen or ibuprofen, just for emergency measures. A big thing I'm real big on is activated charcoal. I have numerous bottles of activated charcoal. I just keep it around. Then also your natural remedies. ginger, turmeric, ashwagandha. Oh man, the list is so long. If I go up in my cabinet, I just natural teas, relaxation teas, teas for sleeping, teas for digestion, anything that you would need, Pepto-Bismol, just different things like that. It's always good to have, and not just for this occasion, but you never know when something's going to go wrong. Vicks is another great thing. The list is just so long. But for the basics and necessities, I would definitely get you some simple cleaners. One of my favorite cleaners is Odoban. You know, some people like to use bleach. There are a lot of different cleaners. Of course, other comforts like toothpaste, deodorant, things like that, shampoo, conditioner, because those are for mental. A lot of people don't understand the body washes, fragrances, things like that. Those are more for mental stability. When you smell something, or a lavender, or a certain body wash, or things like that, they trigger something good in you, and it's a calming feeling because it lets you know that life has not changed as much as you believe. When you get down to the bare essentials of prepping and preparing, and your habits change, that's when fear strikes. When all of a sudden you can't grab that body wash, or you can't smell that shampoo, or you can't smell, the things you're used to, the cleaners. Your body has adjusted to smelling certain scents time and time and time again. So they become your relax point. If anybody's ever noticed, when you walk into another person's house, if they use a different cleaner, you can smell it. If they use a different aerosol, you can smell it. If they cook different, you can smell it. And those fragrances are either very inviting or they're very distracting. So from a mental preparation standpoint, be sure to have things that keep you mentally grounded and mentally stable. Don't run out of those things. So if you have to, change your habits. Start washing with a bar of soap every now and then, just so you get the fragrance of soap and you're used to regular bar. Being able to convert from body wash, some people, like I said, lavender. Lavender is a big one. Once you take the smell of lavender away from certain people, they begin to panic. So remember, every scent, every smell, and everything you have ultimately is connected to memories and things in the brain, which will either calm you or panic you. So, but my bad. I keep going back to the psychological side because I believe the psychological side is way more important. All the food, water, and everything else in the world, but a broken mind, it does no good for someone with a broken mind or a broken spirit.
Hey, Anu, did you want to go in on that for a minute?
Oh yeah, I definitely can.
Okay, go for it, brother.
Yeah, it actually the schools are shut down right now. They did an early they're calling it an early spring break, and they're giving kids 3 weeks. But ultimately, again, you look at that from a psychological standpoint. If they said we're shutting down schools because we're scared of corona, people would freak out. Now they say early spring break, it gives the children, the kids who are the ones who are in school, it gives them more of a feeling of, okay, this is great. We're able to go out, as long as it is not panicking them. They know what it's for, but it doesn't panic them. So the mental aspect and the spiritual aspect are the best, because a broken man can't hunt. And that's one thing. A broken man can't plant. And when I say man, I mean individual. But anyone who is broken mentally, you have to have the will to want to survive in order to survive. So the most important part is the mental aspect. The spiritual aspect, again, is very, very powerful. Dealing with, of course, the mental, having a focus in a creator, having a grounding, being able to sit down and relax and speak to the creator and sit in meditation or prayer, whatever you decide to call it, being able to become one with, an understanding and having an understanding. And that helps you mentally, and through spiritually and not giving up. I mean, there are tales of adrenaline rushes where little bitty women have lifted cars off of kids and loved ones because mentally, you know, it kicked in. Same thing with survival instincts. All of it is ingrained deep within us. We've been turned into docile house pets. And forgive me for saying that. Actually, no, don't forgive me for saying that. We've been turned into docile house pets. We no longer know how to, not all of us, but the majority don't know how to hunt. When's the last time you've taken the head off a chicken and feathered it? When's the last time people have got out and actually field dressed a deer? I love fishing. So when I go fishing, I go ahead and I'm still able to clean, gut my fish. Sometimes I cook it right there over the campfire.
Hey, and then let me
yeah.
stop you for just a second. I got a question for you.
Shoot.
While you're on this topic. So why is it important to know how to do those things?
The importance of knowing how to hunt and be stable is because we've, once again, that docile house pet thing comes in. We're so used to going to the grocery store and we see the finished product. If you experience being able to do these things, being able to cut the chicken apart or being able to, pick your own mushrooms, even if you are vegetarian, we always see the end product. Most people, once again, I apologize. I'm not going to say most people. A lot of people don't know how to shuck corn. When you go out into the garden, there's a lot of people who really don't even know when certain things are ready, like when peppers are ready, when certain types of corn is ready, when certain types of vegetation is ready. I've seen many people who don't know with certain types of fruits and vegetables, they can reproduce. If you cut a cabbage and set it in water, it'll start to sprout another cabbage as long as you use the bottom part. So being able to fend for yourself and feed yourself means that you are more self-reliant, as Cootie Mayo was talking about. You're more self-reliant and you're not relying on everyone else, or you're not relying on a GMO-based system in order to feed you. You're not going to the store, because if something were to happen tomorrow, not saying it is, if something were to happen tomorrow, I want honestly, how many people can survive? Like, just real stuff. I want to know how many people could go out, hunt, fish, doing all that good stuff. And it's scary, the amount of people who could do it. That's not the problem. Anyone can kill an animal. That's not an issue. But I know there are many people who, we've gone deer hunting. We've got a deer, blessed at everything else. And when it came to gutting it, skinning it, cutting them and getting your cuts of meat off of it, there are many people who couldn't do it. We had one guy, man, he acted real super tough. And once we actually got in the guts and started pulling everything out, he puked. He couldn't do it. So you got to train yourself mentally, physically. I know people who can't even pull giblets out of a turkey from a store. So,
damn.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. We become so docile that certain people can't even, pull giblets out. They don't know how to cut the wing. They don't know. Certain people they won't take the head off of a shrimp. I don't eat them, but if you can't do it, you can't do it. And in a survival situation, at least know how. Watch some survival videos on how to field dress things if you can't. And I notice, rather than getting your chicken cut up, sometimes go grab a whole chicken, cut the wings down, cut the legs off, cut the breast down, and cook it all yourself individually. That'll actually show you how to, not as far as cleaning, but it'll give you a basis on what to cut, where to cut, how to cut. Print out diagrams if you need for what cuts of meat there are. So, yeah, I'll leave it on that.
Yeah, I think that from day one, especially with this community where we've been learning and stuff, from day one, their main thing was to kill the Indian, right? Kill the Indian in you, and that meant everything, your whole way of life, like what he was saying. So they put you in reservations and missions or whatever, and they wanted to make sure that you stop hunting, stop growing your own food. They wanted you to depend on them, and years later, here we are. And I mean, I don't want to get conspiracy, but there's a full control now. Like Like we depend totally on them. Unless you're living in the wilderness on your own, in the mountains with no electricity or nothing like that, then you're not. But most everybody is. And so, could this be an opportunity to reflect? I think so. Like to really think about, hey, man, all right, I gotta get on this, man. I can't be this dependent on a system. You know, Especially if we're trying to connect back with the ancestors in our way. So, it's very important. What a new saying, have you ever done all that stuff that he's saying? I mean, I used to do it when I was a kid. My grandma's farming and everything. Moved to Boston, I stopped doing it. So got to definitely get back into that. But I think for survival, people will probably do most anything, when it comes to survival. It's just good to be prepared and know how to do it, though. You don't want to be there and then, you cut the wrong thing or you eat the wrong thing, like you grab the wrong plant or you do something wrong and then, you end up killing yourself. So, being prepared is very important. And just knowing that this can happen any moment, like don't take any of this for granted, man. Even if it's just some media propaganda, whatever. Just don't take it for granted from here on.
Well, and also, you mind if I hop in real quick? Because I actually got a question for some of the vegans. Vegan has become sustainable in this day and age. We have a choice because we have grocery stores. And I'm not knocking your diet. Please believe me, I am not by far. Ultimately, where do you live as a vegan? That's just one of the questions, I'll kind of wait for it to pop up in the chat. I think mine might be going slow, but being a vegan is a commodity, like literally. Being a vegan is something that we have a choice. You can go to the store and you can go get, different styles of food and vegetation that you can't normally get seasonally. Me being in the north, I can't be a vegan. Our cold season kills everything. I mean, I practiced for a while. I tried being a vegan, tried being a vegetarian, but sustainability for us in the north, especially in Ohio, our cold season can last 3-4 months where it'll kill off everything. Opie's up here with me.
Yep.
So for people who are cold climate people, and at one point in time, Cootie Mayo stayed up here. People who are cold climate people, it's hard to keep vegetation. So that's why, I had to switch back over and continue eating meat again for the proteins. And I'm not a little guy. I'm not going to lie. Not a little guy. So being able to, have those high proteins and, the whole 9 yards and being able to get now they even have stuff that's plant-based. They have plant-based meats, different things that are plant-based. That is phenomenal for people in warm climates. But once again, up north, people in Canada, good luck. Our main staple food has to be meat unless we become, unless we travel, unless we begin to migrate down south and then come back up north. But ultimately, that's something I want people to prepare for also. Your whole diet will have to change if something goes down and they stop pushing food trucks tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
What will happen to an individual's diet? Because we have grocery stores,
right?
In the north, Opemiha, if from your experience and where you've worked in different places and understanding the climate of the north, I mean, anybody in Maine, Pennsylvania, I mean, all these northern places, we would die really quickly. We'd be dead in one season.
Yep.
I guess where I am, now, it's hot, tropical. I mean, we got all kinds of environments where we can grow and fertile land. Even with that, though, like if I'm not prepared, right? If something happens tomorrow and I don't have a farm and I don't have anything ready, I might have to hunt. I'm not a meat eater. Well, I eat fish now, but I haven't eaten meat in years. And I was told myself though, I was like, hey man, if I ever have to, hey, fuck it, man. I might have to, But again, like if something happens tomorrow, I don't got nothing ready. I'd have to farm and everything. That takes time. So yeah, you got to be conscious of all this stuff. You're a vegan, vegetarian, but it's because you had convenience this whole time. Could you do it on your own? Could you grow your own food and be vegan all the time? that's a sign very key that Anu is bringing up.
And I wanted to say something real quick. At Geronimo Gats, that's awesome that you're doing that. So I think what Anu was speaking about is for the people who don't grow, because we got a lot of us that don't grow our own food. So if you are growing your own fruit and vegetables and all that different kinds of things, then yeah, you can sustain yourself. But the thing is, a lot of our people are just going to the store to get all their things, and that's the point that Anu was making on that.
Well, actually,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Anu.
Oh no, we can, like I said, we could jump in because we're going worst case scenario.
Right.
So
right. Exactly.
If we go worst case scenario, Geronimo, do you have grow lights? Like as far as for being able to grow in Yonkers in that cold area, do you have grow lights? Or do you have where's your lighting coming from in the winter to be able to grow?
Yeah, that's a good question.
How are you able to adjust your temperatures of your soil? I know compost does a lot of good warming. What type of things you're using for compost and different things like that. Like ultimately, if there were a situation, worst case scenario, say they cut off food, water, electricity, would you still be able to sustain the things? Are you using, what type of soil are you using? Where are you getting your soil from? Is your soil coming from a store? These are all things, that have to be taken into equation of consideration in the worst case scenario. Not like now, but what I'm saying is I can also grow too. As far as, growing vegetables, I like doing it. My kids love it.
Right.
But as far as where do I get my potting soil? Where do I get my soils? We also crunch up different eggs, like to put calcium and nitrates into the soil and everything else, so it's cool. And but in this time and age, yeah, definitely, man, that'll work out. But that's why I was asking individuals in the worst case scenario. So
Yeah.
if you have like a greenhouse, like topside greenhouse, I would definitely love some tips on that, because I'm not familiar with, like I said, the winters here get pretty rough.
And I think I'm sorry, Kudamel, go ahead. My bad.
Real quick, I was just gonna say that's a great point. A lot of us have the greenhouses and we've been vegan and all that, and been able to do it. But from somewhere you at some point, like Anu's trying to say, you're gonna depend on something that they might control, like the water, the soil, electricity. Something that might actually be helping you that you didn't think, that you're not independent of yet. So there's a lot to think about when we're talking about worst case scenario. We're talking about, the grid down. Like the grid down, what are you gonna do? Do you think that far ahead? But that's awesome, man. I wish I had a greenhouse like that, man. And I'm actually building one right now. But that's awesome. I think that either way, that's awesome that you get to live like that, man, and eat fresh and organic food all the time.
Oh yeah, I'm about to get into building a greenhouse. The ones with the curvature top that you can put over the top of a raised bed. So I'm going to start building some of those, and start trying to make some videos on how to, so we can show our people how to get that done. I'm sorry, I know you go ahead.
Oh no. Well, I like to go out 2 weeks a year, and 2 weeks a year I go out into the woods, and I just enjoy being out there. That brings me back to reality. Even if you do it for 3 days or a week, you'll understand, and it's tough. Like literally, the mental aspect, the physical and the emotional, it's very, very grounding and very humbling. So it's one of my big things for Father's Day. I enjoy going camping, whether it's with the family or going out by myself. But spending a week in the wilderness, it will humble you. Once you put down your cell phone, don't get me wrong, I still keep a cell phone and battery charger for certain needs, different things like that, possibly even emergency calls just in case I get hurt. But it's very humbling. Sitting down, going fishing, looking for different types of vegetation. I mean, literally, I learned the hard way. And I did it just because I'm stubborn. So if you don't have the means to do it, don't do it. Because believe me, this is far from the end. So I tell people, as far as the measures go, once everything clears up, but going out for a week, going out for 2 weeks, going out, taking a tent, enjoying, then you have to go with the mental aspects of being alone. Because a lot of the time I do like to go out there and I'm by myself, ultimately, because I learned to depend on myself and I learned to seek inward. And also taking care of somebody else, you're going to have to be okay with that also. Being able to help take care of someone else who you have with you. Are they a liability or are they helpful? There's a lot of different things that come into it. And then starting from scratch, I take out little things, trail mix, different things, that's cool. I take some food with me, but ultimately I like to do my fishing. I bring some rice, and pretty much fish and rice is my staple for the time and a couple seasonings. But needless to say, I apologize for taking that out. It will humble you when you do not have the commodities, when it rains and you have to run back to your tent, when you don't have light at night, when you can't make a fire outside because it's raining so hard to cook your food. So you ultimately have to jump to a different food. This will humble you. And a lot of people now are really, really big on being able to talk about what they can do. The thing is, try what I'm telling you. Go out in the woods for 2 weeks. We will see how you either change or you will starve. And it's pretty much that simple. We rely on the commodities, as Mayo and Opemiha was talking about. We rely on the commodities that are in the store. And the most terrifying thing is not having them. And then being so stubborn that you still stay in that position because you want to prove yourself to be strong. And it's tough. That anytime you could hop in your car and come back home or go to Wendy's and get a meal, but your stubborn self stays right there and forces yourself. And then when you do it, you come back home, you have a great respect. Food tastes different. Air smells different. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And I was gonna say, like, all those things are humbling, man, and those things would have been humbling back in the 80s and 90s. Now, just ask somebody, don't check your phone for an hour. You understand, like, or leave your phone, walk away, from your house 100 yards, like dude was saying the other day. Can you even do that today? Like, we're so much deeper in the system now than in past years. It's crazy, man. They're creating cyborgs. We're just walking with our phone in our face. Everything's like there. Everything's instant. The whole world connected, right? You don't want to miss out on anything. But honestly, we're all missing out because we are not in nature. Like Anu was saying, we're missing out on a lot. And we have more wireless connections everywhere, but we have less human connection, personal connection. And that's what, if you can let go of that and go do what Anu said, you can do it, man. You can 3 or 4 days, try it out. That's gonna make you learn something for real.
Most definitely, and I wanted to say too that I know that each and every one of these brothers here that's on the panel, I know that they all grow their own things. I've seen it, and we talk about it quite a bit. So, and the other thing I was going to mention too, I know Anu has he just, I'm telling you guys, him and Kudameo both, the gardening and the different growing processes and the they have their own animals and different things like that. Can you guys kind of go in on that just briefly on the kinds of things that you're practicing gardening wise and livestock wise?
Well, well, for me, it's just part of my family's heritage to farm and grow things, and just know a lot of the knowledge that my mom passed to me came from my grandfather, who was a known Indian, and so he got it from his parents, and it's just knowledge that you learn because it's observation that the ancestors pass, and it's real science. That's the key to science. Is observation. That's one of the things about science. You have to observe, and so you learn the science, right? It passes down to you. I actually got really good in the States though, because in the States I was growing cannabis, and I got really good at it. So once it was like practice. So it's a fruit, right? And that's the idea. So like you can grow a tomato just like you can grow cannabis. So when you think of that with all the fruit trees, I started, when I came over here, I started doing the same thing, and it's the science. That science. Where did agriculture start? Right? Agriculture began here in the Americas, and that's something that's in us. It's in us, like it's in our DNA. And try it out, man. You might have a green thumb. You might enjoy it. For me, it helped me get through a lot of bad moments. Like whatever stress or physically or mentally. Just go and garden, go and do this and watch these trees grow and take care of them, and be able to eat the fruits right after. I show Opemiha and Anu and Wanagi my fruits all the time. And they told me, oh, this tree wouldn't grow here, or this tree ain't gonna grow here, and I made it grow in fruit. And that's what I was saying the other day. You got to really vibe with the trees. I talk to them and stuff. Like my grandfather told us, man, you got to really get mad at it. Like he would get mad at the trees when they're not fruiting. Like he wouldn't do it on purpose. He just try to like feel the energies. Like if there's tricks to make things fruit. Like you can, if a tree thinks it's dying or a fruit thinks it's dying, obviously like it's gonna want to produce, so it doesn't go extinct. So the first thing it tries to do is fruit. You chop a tree a little bit, you cut it a little bit, it heals, and then it was like, oh, I'm a fruit right now before I before it cuts me down. And so there's ways to do it. You don't have to do it that way, but I'm just saying there's different techniques that you learn. But with animals, I grew up with my grandma. I used to come and visit and farm and everything. But I think I knew would probably know a lot more agriculture and the whole animal care than me.
Yeah, for me, I raise my own chickens. I hatch my own chicks. It's like Cody Mayo was saying, it's really a labor of love and being able to get out there and put positive energy in not only the trees, but the animals. When I go outside, my chickens get excited to see me. They'll run from across the yard. And it's not because I have any treats or anything. I talk to them because all that positive energy that you put into your fruits, your vegetables, even your animals, it shows. My chickens, they're not meat birds. They're literally egg birds because I use them for a very stable protein. And my chickens are normally so happy. They even produce a lot of eggs in the winter, which is unusual. Just being able to get out. I talk to my fruit trees. I have a grapevine. Even currently on the 2 acres that I'm on, I go out every year and it's probably about $18, but I buy a fruit tree. I've got 2 Bartlett pear trees. I've got 2 red apple trees. I've got 2 granny apple trees. I've got 2 cherry trees. I've got a grapevine. I've got a lot of stuff on a little bit of land. You don't need much to grow, but I go out there and I talk to my plants. I go and I prune my trees. I explain to them why I'm pruning them, and I make sure they don't get too high, so the fruit stays low. And also, when the trees are properly pruned, the fruit that is lower, it's bigger fruit. And it takes energy to feed the higher fruits, the higher fruit that are on the tree. So therefore, it takes from the lower ones. Just stuff like that. Being able to enjoy your animals, being able to enjoy the time you have with them, and keeping them clean. You don't want to live in a pigsty, neither do they. My chickens are free range. They get out and they run around. Everybody in the neighborhood knows them and just kind of laughs as they go do their thing and pick through gardens and stuff. But yeah, that's my thing. Like Cootie Mail was saying, positive energy. Put it out into your garden, put it into everything else, and ultimately it'll reflect back. That love will come back to you. To this day, my whole family bugs me for my eggs because they have a different taste from store or even farm bought eggs. Just because I guess I enjoy my animals and my fruits. And believe me, everybody in this chat has seen all my preps. I'm prepped out. So
Hey, Anu. So somebody in the chat wanted to know where's the best place to get fruit and vegetable seeds from.
Depends on your location. If you're in the South, you can normally go to places in Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky. They got a lot of swaps where it's all natural and completely organic. If you're floating around the North or you want something mailed to you, My Patriot supplies where I used to get mine. It was a wonderful place. They normally have a 97% germination rate, all natural, non-GMO seeds. That was my thing. But if you're going to buy seeds, be sure to look for something that's completely non-GMO. Make sure it's something that is that has a very high yield rate. Because what a lot of people are doing is when you go to these stores, there we go, Patriot Seeds. You have your organic seeds. You have them. They will reproduce themselves. And that's very, very important. One thing a lot of people do not understand is they believe you can go get any seed from anywhere. Genetically modified seeds are made strictly not to reproduce. So when they can't reproduce and they don't seed, and if they do seed, they're completely infertile. So the supplier keeps you coming back to them ultimately because you can't produce anything. There are vegetables and fruits now that are completely seedless. If it's completely seedless, how does it reproduce?
Exactly.
Dan, farmers markets. There's a lot of farmers markets that sell non-GMO seeds. Buy from there. I mean, buy anything that's non-GMO, completely organic, and make sure on the package, or at least check the website and make sure it's guaranteed to reproduce. Because even though some things say they're organic just means it doesn't have any pesticides on it. It doesn't necessarily mean all natural. So, but My Patriot Supply is a good place. The one that Opemiha showed, very, very high yield. I've been using them for years for my herb garden, my vegetable garden, and my fruit plants, and 97% success rate.
Yep.
Wonderful seeds.
Absolutely. And, also too, we have to get serious about this. Like all the brothers here on the platform have been saying so far about, being dependent on, getting things from the store. That's why I brought them on here, because I know firsthand that these brothers up here, they don't just talk it, they walk it. They plant their own things. They are in tune with nature. I mean, I'm telling you, like, catching your own rainwater. I know Anu does that. I think Kuda Mail may do that as well. Using, solar panels. I mean, all that kind of stuff is things that we have to start doing. If you love this earth and you care about the things on it, I mean, you have to get out of this old way that, the colonizers been teaching us. I mean, it's time, to move forward, and it's time to live Indian ways. Anu, did you want to go in on that, or anybody else on the panel?
Yeah, I definitely can. I saw something that was disheartening and made me sick, in not just the indigenous community, but the human community. People are buying up hand sanitizer and selling it for $20 a bottle. They are literally extorting people who want to be safe, and they are banking on people's fear. And that disgusted me to no end. I mean, to no end. To know that someone wanted to exploit the way an individual felt about, oh, I want to protect my children or protect myself. I mean, I'm going to try not to curse, so I'm just going to be like, it made me sick to see how people are selling Clorox bleach. I mean, Clorox wipes. People out here are literally waiting in line to buy these products, and it disgusted me in humanity because we're built to love each other. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're going to have our qualms, we're going to have our problems, completely understood. But ultimately, you know, we all breathe and bleed, and living the Indian way was a thing of beauty. You know, being one with nature, helping out the members of your tribe when it took a tribe to raise a child, because a child knew more back in the day than children do now. These children are technologically advanced, but when I came up and when I was dealing with, one of my uncles knew how to fish. One of my uncles knew, he was a Vietnam vet, so he taught me about firearms. Then I had an uncle who was a carpenter. My dad is a diesel mechanic. He also worked on cars. So I was able to get taught by all these different people, all these different traits. But without that village to come together and collectively raise me, you know, even though times got hard, and of course, you know, people live in the hood. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, they came together to show me these traits. And it's not only on the adults to show the kids the traits, it's on the kids to want to learn the traits. You have to make learning and education fun. If you don't make it fun, if you don't make gardening fun, I take my kids out and I explain the yielding, I explain what seasons, what grow zones, what areas. We all get together, we crush up the leftover eggshells and we bake them and we put them into the soil, and we make our own soil at my house. We can take horrible soil and build it back up. Oh, I definitely will. Purple carnations, definitely. I'm definitely going to continue that. But that's a real big thing, is our heritage and our way was to help one another, to learn, to teach. A teacher is always a student, and a student is always a teacher, because I can learn just as much from a child as a child can learn from me. So don't ever negate anyone's a spiritual or emotional information, because it's always something to learn. And even if I'm not saying take it to heart, but I'm saying you can learn in a good or a bad manner. So sometimes, believe it or not, and I know a lot of people have learned, sometimes the best things that are learned are from watching other people's mistakes.
Facts.
You know, and trust me, I've a hard head makes for a soft butt, and that comes with everything. Learning how to do your soil. If you don't have the proper nitrates, if you put too much in, like I said, I haven't heated my house with gas for 6 years now. My house has been heated by a fireplace for 6 years, and I live in the city. We take all our ashes, we put them out, and then also there's elderly in my neighborhood, and the extra vegetables and fruits we have, since I'm not going to throw them away, I take them out and I give them to the elderly people. You know, when I have too many eggs, I can't eat a dozen eggs a day. So I take them and I'll hand them out to the elderly people, you know, that are in my neighborhood. So, but that brings peace in my spirit. But ultimately, that's what I mean about caring, enjoying, sharing, and once again, getting back to taking a village to raise a child and getting back to the Indian lifestyle. I mean, we think about it. If people don't share their information and taking a village or a village coming together to talk, then how would any of us know what we know? You know, and on that, I'm a step back.
Oh, no problem, bro. I appreciate your words. And that's, you know, that's what I've been saying on on the last few lives that I've been doing, is that, you know, if we know how to do things, we need to start, you know, instead of hiding the information and then keeping it to ourselves, start sharing it so our people know how to do things. Again, you know, I'm one of those people where, you know, I'm all about being self-sufficient. And you know, I think we need to get there. Quick, fast, in a hurry. You know, not saying that anything bad is, you know, happening right now, but I mean, while there isn't, some major thing going on, that's taking everything out. Why not learn it now? Why not teach it now? Why not, get out and even if you don't have a yard outside, you can grow inside. I've done it before. And I'm sure the brothers on the panel have done it as well before. Learning about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, yeah. You got to. I haven't grown any vegetables or anything in the house. I've grown something else, and that something else, from what I hear, is harder than than vegetables. So there's really no excuse for not doing it if you have this space. I mean, I'm in an apartment. Apartment I'm in is not much room like that. But when I leave from here, I'm definitely gonna get something bigger. But this right now, what we're going through, this little pandemic, whatever they want to call it, this is gonna pass. But
Oh
when
yeah,
this passes, are we gonna take the warning, or are we gonna, continue to do what we've been doing, keep going to the supermarket and and stuff like that, wasting time. I mean, the jokes are over. It's cool to laugh here and there, but it just ain't funny no more, man. A lot of stuff that
exactly.
we spend time on is just really a waste of time, man. That's why I said, shoot, the what month of May, I'm locking down. I'm not doing genealogy or anything. I'm gonna be in here reading, getting up on these tribes, getting up on the survival and all this different stuff like that. I mean, that's where it's at. My child, they just shut down the Catholic school.
Yep.
He's going to Catholic school. They just shut down all the Catholic schools in New York City. So now he has to stay home. But now I'm like, you know what? He needs to stay home.
Yep.
He could go out on the weekend with his cousins or something like that, till I be able to come, move up to Ohio, and then he can have a community that he can be involved with. But that's what we got to get back to. Take our kids out of these schools, man. But we got to come together. It doesn't matter who you come together with. Just find like-minded people that you learn to trust. It's not hard. It might take a year or something like that to find those people in this community. Find those people, move to the same place, and make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
What are you missing? We ain't missing nothing. There ain't nothing in the hood. That's for sure. Nothing in the hood, man. I'm out here on the edge of the suburbs now. I'm good. If I get in contact with this virus, I'll be all right. But my family, they could die easily. You know what I mean? So the
Oh yeah.
jokes is over. The jokes are over, man. Let's get on it. Stop goofing off and get real about it, man. I've been on it already. Some things are holding me back a little bit, but I'm making progress. On all sides,
Yeah.
man. You guys watch me grow, man. You know,
Absolutely.
I was a total a-hole not too long ago. Now it's just 20%, man. But yeah, it's not that hard to grow stuff, man. Just do it. If you fail, do it again. How much stuff we fail at, man?
Exactly.
So
Because trust and believe, I've killed many a plants, but you gotta start somewhere. You gotta just get into it. Wanagi, did you want to say something, brother? I'm sorry, we haven't had a chance to let you speak. He might be busy right
we
now.
stepped away. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um.
The main thing I think with plants is the main thing with plants to me is
Mhm.
figure out how much water they need. The sun is automatic. And if you have to grow inside, then you get a light. Make sure the light is not too close. And yeah, and just don't overwater. That's the main thing. Don't overwater. It's better to underwater than to overwater. Because once you overwater, that's it. That's pretty much it. Your plant's gonna die.
You're gonna have it moist all the time, Just you'll see it, you'll start noticing it, when it looks dry or anything. But as time goes, if you do practice it, you'll start noticing because some soils are different. They might absorb water differently than other soils, or the plant as well might absorb more water.
hmm
Uh,
And,
you know,
and yeah, and remember that it rains when plants are outside in nature. It rains, so you can't just wet the soil. You have to
yeah.
wet the whole plant. You have to start from the top to the bottom. So you go over the top of the plant, and then you let the water go ahead and go down like that or whatever. But you got to make sure your leaves and everything are moist.
Absolutely.
Oh, and
Absolutely.
I take this time right now as a blessing. I know that sounds kind of morbid, so nobody think I'm morbid, please.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. But I take this time as a blessing. I've actually sat down and, you know, because our schools are out for 3 weeks. Like I said, the early break. I mean, all of Ohio. It's not just one local schools. All of Ohio schools are out for 3 weeks for early break. But I've seen people out, and even though they're panic buying, I've seen more people out talking to each other than ever before. I mean, I've seen people who are, there are some people who are complete a-holes and who will grab the last item on the shelf. But I actually watched, guy had 5 cases of he had 5 things of peanut butter in his cart, and the lady walked and looked and was like, oh man, they're out. And I actually watched him turn, and he was like, well, I have some in my cart. If you want it, you're more than welcome to it. And just seeing that, yeah, we could actually hear you.
Yeah, we heard you.
But it was, yeah.
My bad in there.
Oh, you all good, man. But it was a blessing. It was a blessing to see that like family I haven't talked to in years is calling like, hey, how's it going, man? You know, making sure you're okay, being able to take this time off with your kids. And the government's trying to put some stuff in action with mortgages, rents, and all the other good stuff. We don't know how it's working. But ultimately, this time is necessary, and the creator doesn't put anything here for no reason. So ultimately, take this as a learning experience. And when I say like literally take this as a learning experience, please do. This is a time to learn, a time to grow, and a time to be with your family and your loved ones, because in times like this, we really, really just have to sit down and enjoy, come together as a community, and just spread the love. I'm not going to sit here and be depressed. Like I said, I'll crack jokes, I'll do all the other, because your sanity is what keeps you together. Once your mind is broke, your body's no good.
No doubt, brother. No doubt. That's 100. So we've been going, let's see, over an hour. I know that much, like an hour, 7 minutes. But a new breed, Kudameo legacy and whatnot. I appreciate you guys coming on here to talk about this subject. And I think we, should keep the conversation going on another live as well. Anu, you going live later on this evening?
Yeah, I'm going to see if they're canceling work for me or not, but I definitely wanted to. I can't type in the chat, so that's why I haven't been typing. But special shout out to everybody. Much love to y'all. You know, Albert, Redbird, all the above. But yeah, if they cancel my job, I will definitely be on. If not, then it's going to be a real late one. And I don't know how late everybody's staying up, 12:30, 1 o'clock. I don't know. So, but I'll inform everybody beforehand.
Cool. Appreciate it. Did you guys want to go ahead and say your final words, and then we'll go ahead and shut it down? Start with legacy.
I was just gonna say, thanks for having me, OP, and just think positive. Think mass consciousness, the spiritual side is very important in the realm that we live in, and it does affect, the physical. It's not, separate from it. So just think, create what you picture yourself in in the future you want, because that'll start a ripple effect, so you have a lot of power you don't know. So yeah, thanks for tuning in and support OP, hit like and everything. Peace.
Appreciate you, Kudameo, as always, brother. Thank you. Legacy.
Yeah, I know. I missed a lot of it. Came on the tail end. Only thing I can say, man, this right here. I'm thinking this is only a little warning. I was a little ahead of the curve and was able to even just go purchase me a deep freezer. Get groceries and stuff like that, and make sure that I had my cans and everything like that I needed. So one thing I could say till this blows over, man, cut down your portions a little bit. If you're not able to go back and forth, because we don't know, when, especially if you live in a city, when they'll actually shut some things down. You know, so you know, just be ahead of the curve. You don't have to be crazy and shop for real. I go shopping and I see people with baskets of cereal and you know a bunch of nonsense. You know what I'm saying? I'm grabbing beans and rice and and meat. You know, and protein bars. You know, stuff like that. You know that can sustain me to some degree. And I just see people buying a bunch of junk. You know, I think you know, even though it's not the end of the world, you should still be a little bit more prepared and a little bit more serious, man. I think we all just need to get serious, man. It seems like everybody's just goofing off. It's just not even, you know, it's just not even funny anymore. A lot of the stuff is just, how long is it? This a lot of this stuff gonna be funny? You know, it's all about entertainment. Even the Aboriginal community, you know, a lot of times it's just a lot of entertainment, you know, and I'm just tired of entertaining or being entertained. You know, we got to get serious about this. This is our ancestors, our culture, you know, and it's a spit in the face. It really is. So, you know, I try not to be the negative Nancy, but I keep it real, man. A lot of times when I put out videos, man, I get a few comments. I get a few comments. And it's normally the people that are like on this platform right now, you know, and tribal brothers and stuff like that. People don't want to comment because, you know, they know that it's about them. We gotta step it up. And as always, I'm gonna put my plug in. Anybody hit me up for genealogy? Okay, I'm gonna start in April. I'm only taking 15 people because I still have some people left over. Some people I have to get in touch with you and do further research. I broke it down to some tribes, but we have to go and highlight these tribes and see if these surnames match and you know times and stuff like that because it's not always cut and dry. But yeah, reach out to me because after this I might shut down March. I may shut down May and June because I need to read and I need to meditate and I need to do a lot of other things. And I want to thank the community for supporting me and reaching out to me, man, because I wouldn't be able to do the things that I need to do for my family, man, and I'm blessed. And that's why I'm changing a lot of things about my character and just trying to work on it because it's a blessing and it could be taken away. I thank Cormeo. I thank Anu. You know, I always highlight you all the time, man. He's always there to help me, you know, when he can. He extends himself, you know, too much, too much, you know. But he's a great brother. And Opie, I thank you for bringing me on, man, and holding it down and bringing the information to the people.
Appreciate you as well, brother. Thank you for coming on. And Mr. Newbury.
Yeah, I talked way too much on this live, so basically I'm gonna keep mine short. Just remember, prepare mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Be well aware and take this as a learning lesson. We got to get back together. We have to show love, and we have to remember the blessings that we have every day. Ultimately, the blessings that we see, the things that we have, are not necessities to life. Electricity, refrigerators, stoves, no, these are commodities. They're not necessities. So be thankful for the things you have every day because ultimately it can be taken away. But study the way of life, study how to correct yourself, and study how to survive. This all these things are still relatively new in the grand scheme of how long the Earth's been around, so we don't know when it can go out. Once again, not to spread fear, but stay blessed. Don't live in fear because a life lived in fear is a life that isn't lived. So many blessings and thank you, Opie, for having me on. I want to thank Legacy and Kuti Mayo. I want to thank Wanagi. Want to thank everybody on the chat. And once again, that was me going too long. So I'll hand it off.
Appreciate you, brother. It's an honor. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Before I get my last word, I want to say what's up to a few people because I missed a lot of people in the chat. Let's see. We got Dan Kwam Yasharala. Peace, relative. Appreciate you for stopping by. Really no self. Appreciate you. Redbird 101. Thank you for coming in, brother. Kichiwa. M. Kodo. Peace. Appreciate you being here, family. Miss Michelle Pfeiffer. Appreciate you, sis. Peace. Miss Gretchen Helm. Appreciate you being here as well, sis. Always an honor. Ta Arakan. Kru. Sorry if I'm butchering that. Peace. Appreciate you being here. Thank you. Carl McCuller. Peace, brother. Appreciate you being here. Omega. Honor. Peace. Thank you for being here. Let's see if I'm missing anybody else. David Corey. Peace, peace. My brother Link One. Appreciate you being here, fam. Thank you for being here. Geronimo Gatz. Definitely looking forward to that information with you and Nine Ether. Rude ASX Ebo. Peace, sis. I always love when you're here. Thank you. Appreciate it. But what I wanted to say to everybody is that it's we got the government giving us another scare. Again, I don't want to be conspiracy theory guy, but here we are once again. They're trying to shut down things. They're trying to scare you. So we gotta be prepared. That was a whole part of this. We got to know how to make it if worst case scenario comes. A lot of us, our people grew food. We were farmers. We knew the land. We were one with the land. So we need to get back to that. Again, you don't need a big, gigantic backyard. You don't need 60, 70 acres. You can grow food anywhere. It's in us. We know how to do this. So, let's stop messing around. It's time to be serious. We got a lot of people that's starting to wake up and realize who they are. So I want us all to make it. But that's all I have for today. Again, I would like to do this again. Because got a lot of brothers on here and even people in the chat and sisters that know how to do things. So if you got something that how to do that would benefit the Aboriginal community, the American Indian community, whatever you call it, please start making those videos. As you all know, you can go on YouTube and find out how to do just about anything. So that's all I wanted to say. One love to each and every one of you. I always appreciate every single one of you coming out here and supporting us. And like I said, we will do this again. Take care. We out.